3 steps forward where you get a peek of what becoming your true self means, sounds like, and looks like. I'm your host, Carlin E. Tapia, coach, speaker, educator, and certified practitioner. I'll put more info of my work and what I do in the show notes. Feel free to contact us. My team would love to schedule a guest on my podcast. I have exciting plans for this, and I am ready to serve you. This podcast is designed to help you break free from fear or toxic stress and grow into the most confident, empowered version of yourself. If you're feeling stuck, uncertain, or overwhelmed, you've come to the right place. Thank you so much for coming on, everyone. This is a special guest. I saw that she has written a book on grace. So I wanted to interview you, and I just want to hear more about that because I absolutely would love to grow in grace.
Great. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. So the book is called Thriving in Grace, Unleashing Wellness from a Biblical Perspective. And it starts with just some kind of foundational things and then gets into what really is God's grace. Because if you've been in the church for very long, you've probably been told that grace is God's gift that we don't deserve of our salvation. And as I studied just the word grace throughout the Bible, from the Old Testament through Paul's writings, I realized that grace shows up in so many different ways. It's things like God's favor, like when Cyrus, the Persian pagan king who had no respect for Yahweh, for our God, said to the Jewish people, yeah, go back and rebuild the temple to your God. That's grace. That was God using Cyrus to pour out his favor on his people. And then I've outlined the whole thing in chapter 4 of the book, but it just goes through so much that God's grace, I've came to the conclusion, is actually how he works in the world by his power to overcome impossible things so that he can achieve his purposes for good. And yes, of course, that includes our salvation, because that's impossible for us to accomplish on our own. But it's so much more. And so the book shows how you can use grace, tapping into God's grace, and a system or formula that God showed me that's called the grace cycle that's in the book, to get unstuck and find freedom and lasting change in areas of your life where you might have felt like I've been trying and I just can't get through this. But by God's grace and using the grace cycle, we can find real freedom and lasting transformation.
I love it. I discovered God's grace through my own story, I just felt things were always going wrong because I just lived through a hard life growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really set free when I could see God showing up over and over again, redeeming situations, my heart, my life. And truly, that's how I became like a true believer, if we can say that.
Yeah.
And I have so much more peace when I'm living life and I see, oh, this is coming up, or because life is not perfect, but I don't have that worry anymore. I don't have that stress or that overwhelming paralyzation in my body of like, how am I going to do this alone? How am I going to figure this out? And so that's one of the core reasons why I follow Jesus, because of who he is and what he extends. And so thank you for writing a book like that.
You're welcome. And Carlin, I love that you use the word redeeming, because that really is what God does. I've lived through some hard stuff, and not so much growing up, but more in my adult life, had to push through incredibly difficult things. And God doesn't just take them away, but he redeems. And again, does amazing good things, not just through, but because of these hard, even impossible things that we have to live through. So I love where God has brought you now and that you're offering hope to other people too.
Thank you. Thank you. And so is that what you're focusing on? Your book? Are you writing another book? What are some of your goals?
Yeah, right now I am focusing a lot on the book and on helping to spread the message of the grace cycle and God's grace, because I think there are a lot of people who have been living up here. And if I think differently, then I'll act differently. But then we get stuck between our heads and our hearts. And I think we have to learn a bottom up way, like from our hearts and souls. And yes, Paul said in Romans 12, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. But I think that renewing of our mind doesn't come externally. I think it happens internally as the Holy Spirit works in us, as we become closer and closer to Jesus. I think that's really how it happens, how our mind is renewed, not by putting more words and verses in to try to change our thoughts, but by getting closer to God and experiencing his love.
Yes, I agree. I am a resilience coach.
Yeah.
So in my framework, I teach people that to really sit in these emotions because they're telling you something, they're giving you a message, and we're always busy. And we live in a culture where we're so busy. And I work with people that are multi-passionate. They are going after a lot of different goals. And so now I'm teaching them how to hone in and to like really experience the mundane of life and being mindful of God in every moment. Because if not, we're training our brains to just be like an addiction of just going after things and not really experiencing being with your family, being with God. And so that's something that I've worked on as well. And
Mhm.
so it changed my life to, I'm such an overachiever. I've graduated with a 4.0 in undergrad. I did a certification for somatic modalities to help people release tension and trauma in their body. Like I've done so much and I just never felt fulfilled. Okay, this is just another medal. This is another thing that I'm doing until now my like what I'm achieving, if we can say it like that, is really experiencing God in the daily mundane areas of my life.
Mm-hmm. That is so helpful. And again, you talked about the emotions, and I actually wrote there's a couple chapters in there about 7 areas of our lives that we can experience growth and wellness in. One of them is emotional wellness. And the key to that is acknowledging and understanding our emotions. And I like to think of them as they're the rocks sitting on the ground around me, and I pick it up and what's underneath it. What has brought that emotion up? What can I learn from looking under that emotion that then I can figure out what I'm going to do about it? And it's so easy to let the emotions like get in the driver's seat of my life and pull me along, but I need to take them out of the driver's seat and understand. Brene Brown have you read her book, Atlas of the Heart?
Yes.
Yeah. So I love this metaphor that our emotions are like the map that shows us where we are. They don't drive the bus. They show us where we are, and they help us understand where we need to be.
I love that. I love that. Actually, she's one of my people that I look up to because my background is in social work and
Mm,
she is a DSW. So she has a doctorate in social work. So
yeah.
I read a lot of her books. And remind me, where are you located again?
I'm in Colorado, outside of Denver. I just lost you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Got
Now
it.
I hear you.
You're in Colorado. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're not that far away from me. 9 hours driving.
Yeah. Where are you?
I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We drove out to Kansas City, just the west side of Kansas City, so it's still in Kansas, to get a cat, so from a breeder. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, next time you come by, let me know. We can grab
yeah.
some coffee.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
We can do something together related to your book too, a workshop. I love getting to know people like this, podcasting, because then I can refer people and I can collaborate. Like I don't have to do everything. I can, like I said, just honing into what I'm good at. And I'm good at speaking, motivational speaking, and producing impact that way. And so I love that you understand that emotions are a real thing. A lot of people in the church, not everyone, haven't wrapped their heads around that yet. And so I love getting to know people like you. And then I could just even, as a bonus in my program, I can refer them to you like, hey, and by the way, if you need a book to further explain, please check out this book from Karen.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be great.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Do you have anything planned for today?
Well, it's a Saturday afternoon. I teach fitness classes. And so we're supposed to have a Christmas party for the fitness instructors together. So I'll probably go to that for a couple hours. And then in our town, we're in a small town. And so they're doing like a little parade and tree lighting ceremony that I think the family will want to go to. So just some fun Christmassy things today. And
That's wonderful.
in between that, maybe clean up my house and fold some laundry,
I know. We just try to just fit it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go meet up with a friend. I have a big event coming. This won't air before the event, but I have one December 9th and 10th in the evening. If you're interested, I'll send you the link after we're done.
Yeah.
So I'm just focusing on resting and celebrating how far God has brought me. And so I'm going to go maybe see some lights or something around town and with a friend, a dear friend that she's also very busy. So it's a unique opportunity to get together.
That's great. And I talked a little earlier about the grace cycle, but it's like the last step, and it's a cycle. So we go around, but the last stage is celebrating and acknowledging the progress that we've made. So I love that you're taking time to do something special with a friend to celebrate the progress you've made.
Yeah, I always talk about the toxic stress cycle, and I don't talk enough about the grace cycle. I didn't even put that together. I always say, let's break generational toxic cycles. And I think you're just inspiring me to also talk about the other side, which is the grace cycle. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And that's it. That's a wrap, you guys. Thank you so much for being here today and for giving me the privilege to speak over your life and for you receiving the gift of growth. Remember, every step you take forward, no matter how small or big, you are truly moving forward to who you're truly meant to be. Embrace the journey because the process of becoming is just as powerful as the destination. And in today's episode, if something sparked in you, a question, anything, a goal, an idea, hold on to that. Let it be the nudge you need to take brave steps forward toward the life that's calling you. You don't have to have it all figured out to start. You just need to take that next step. And I'll be here cheering you on every step of the way. Until next time, keep going. Hey, and do me a favor, share this episode with one friend or on social media. Let's bring more awareness to taking brave steps forward together.